You are 60 years old, and you are tired. Not just physically, your soul is tired. Tired of pretending, tired of carrying burdens that were never yours, tired of living beneath the weight of other people's expectations. And somewhere deep inside, beneath all that exhaustion, there is a voice you have been ignoring for decades. It is my voice, and it is saying, enough. The performance is over. The hiding is finished. What comes next will require every ounce of wisdom you've earned and every scar you've carried. Are you ready to finally become who I created you to be? I know why you're here. You didn't stumble onto this video by accident. Something inside you is stirring. A restlessness, a longing, maybe even a fear that time is running out. You've spent 6 decades building a life, raising children, working jobs, keeping commitments, surviving losses, and now, as you stand on this side of 60, you're looking at what remains and wondering if there's anything left that truly matters. The world has been whispering to you that your best years are behind you, that retirement means withdrawal, that your role now is to be comfortable, to be safe, to be quiet. But I'm here to tell you something that will shatter that lie completely. You have been lied to about what your 60s mean. Culture tells you this is the beginning of the end. A slow decline into irrelevance, nostalgia, and waiting. The world celebrates youth and dismisses age. Churches put you in committees but not on front lines. Your family sees you as stable, safe, a source of wisdom at holidays but not as dangerous, not as called, not as capable of transformation. They love you, but they have placed you in a category. They have decided what your remaining years should look like. And if you're honest, you've begun to believe them. The core pain you're carrying, whether you've named it or not, is the weight of unlived calling. You sense that there was something more you were meant to do, but the window feels closed. You look at younger generations and wonder if your time has passed. Regret haunts you. Fear whispers that it's too late. You lie awake at night, thinking about the dreams you abandoned, the risks you didn't take, the person you meant to become but never quite became. And the voice of the world says, accept it, make peace with it. Your season is over. But I am telling you that everything you think disqualifies you. Your age, your weariness, your failures, your so-called missed opportunities is actually the exact credential required for the work I am now assigning you. Moses was 80 when I sent him to Pharaoh. Abraham was 75 when I called him to leave everything he knew. Your 60 years are not a countdown to death. They are the foundation upon which I will build something eternal. Everything you have been through, every betrayal, every loss, every moment of despair was not wasted. It was preparation. And now, in this hour, I am asking you to stop seeing your life through the lens of what's over and start seeing it through the lens of what's beginning. This is not motivational talk. This is not positive thinking designed to make you feel better about aging. This is revelation. I am pulling back the veil on a truth that the enemy has worked for decades to hide from you. Your final years are not your weakest. They are your most powerful. They are your most dangerous. Dangerous to the systems that profit from your silence. Dangerous to the powers that prefer elders to be passive and compliant. Dangerous to the principalities that fear the awakening of a generation that has nothing left to lose. Let me tell you a story. There was a potter who spent 40 years making vessels for the marketplace, bowls, cups, jars for commerce and function. His hands were skilled, his reputation established. People came from surrounding villages to buy his work because it was reliable, sturdy, beautiful in its simplicity. He made a good living. He provided for his family. And for a long time, that was enough. But at 60, something shifted inside him. He began to work on something different. He did not announce it. He did not explain it to his wife or his apprentices. But those who entered his workshop late at night would find him bent over a single piece, working it with a precision and patience he had never before shown. The clay he was using was different, finer, more difficult to shape. It required constant attention. If he left it too long, it would crack. If he worked it too quickly, it would collapse. And so he returned to it night after night, year after year, shaping and reshaping, smoothing and refining. When his friends asked what he was making, he would only say, This is the one I have been preparing for all my life. They thought he was being sentimental. They thought he was avoiding the reality that his best work was behind him. But he knew something they did not. It took him 5 years. And when it was finished, it did not look like his other work. It was not meant for the marketplace. It was not meant to hold water or grain or oil for commerce. It was meant for the temple, a vessel designed to hold sacred oil, to carry the presence of what is holy into the ordinary world. When the priests saw it, they wept, because they recognized immediately what the potter had done. He had taken every skill he had learned in 4 decades of production and poured it into a single work that would outlast him, a work that would serve not human convenience, but divine purpose. The potter understood what many do not. The greatest work is not produced in your youth. It is produced after you have mastered your craft, after you have been refined by failure, after you know the cost of beauty. Youth has energy, but it does not have wisdom. Youth has passion, but it does not have patience. Youth has vision, but it does not have the scars that teach you how to endure when vision fades. You, at 60, carry something that no 30-year-old can carry. You carry depth. You carry weight. You carry the authority that only comes from having walked through fire and survived. Now, let me ask you something. What if everything you have lived through was not random suffering, but intentional shaping? What if every hard season, every crushing disappointment, every moment when you thought you wouldn't make it? What if all of that was the hand of the potter pressing into the clay of your life, forming you for something specific? You have been looking at your pain as evidence of failure. I have been looking at your pain as evidence of preparation. You have been seeing your scars as disqualification. I have been seeing your scars as your credentials. There is another story I want you to hear. There was a field that had been plowed and planted for decades. Season after season, it produced. The farmer who owned it was faithful. He worked the soil. He sowed the seed. He harvested the grain, year after year, decade after decade. But as the farmer grew older, the work grew harder. The yield seemed smaller. His back ached. His hands were stiff. And one day, standing at the edge of that field at sunset, exhausted and discouraged, the farmer said out loud, "I am too old for this. I don't have the strength I used to have. Maybe it's time to sell the land and let someone younger take over." But I spoke to him in the silence of that moment, not with an audible voice, but with a knowing that settled deep in his chest. And I said, "You are not too old. You are finally old enough. What I am about to plant in this field requires soil that has been worked for 60 years. The shallow ground of youth cannot hold what I am about to grow here. This field has been broken and turned and fertilized and drained and replanted so many times that it is finally ready for the seed I have been saving. Do not abandon it now. Do not hand it over. Return to it, not with the frantic energy of your youth, but with the settled strength of a man who has learned to trust the process." And so the farmer returned. He planted again, but this time, something was different. He was not planting for production. He was planting for legacy. He was not planting to prove anything. He was planting because I had asked him to. And what grew in that field in his final decade fed more people than everything he had grown before, not because the harvest was larger in volume, but because the harvest carried something in it that could not be measured, a quality of faithfulness, a depth of sacrifice, a testimony that whispered to everyone who ate the bread. This grain was grown by a man who did not quit. Do you hear what I'm saying to you? Your weariness is not weakness. It is readiness. The soil of your life has been prepared for a harvest that only now can be planted. Everything the enemy meant to destroy you with every loss, every betrayal, every crushing disappointment, I am now going to use as the fertilizer for the most significant season of your life. But you have to stop agreeing with the lie that your time is over. You have to stop listening to the voices that tell you to step aside, to make room, to fade quietly into the background. Let me break this down for you because I need you to understand it at a level deeper than inspiration. I need you to understand it as spiritual law. Age is not decline. Age is concentration. The world sees aging as loss. Loss of vitality, loss of relevance, loss of beauty, loss of power. I see it as refinement. At 60, you are not less than you were at 30. You are distilled. The unnecessary has been burned away. The false identities have crumbled. The people-pleasing has exhausted itself. The need to perform, to prove, to impress it has died. And what remains is essence. You no longer have time for pretending. You no longer have energy for games. You can no longer afford to waste your days on work that does not matter, or relationships that drain you, or obligations that were never yours to carry. And this stripping away, this loss of everything that was not essential, is not tragedy. It is liberation. You are being concentrated into your truest form. The question is not whether you have enough left. The question is whether you will steward what has been purified. Think about it this way. When you were 30, you carried 100 concerns. You worried about what people thought. You worried about your career. You worried about your appearance, your reputation, your success. You were building a life. And that required a scattering of your energy in 100 different directions. But now, at 60, 90 of those concerns have fallen away. Some by choice, some by circumstance, some by sheer exhaustion. And what you have left is 10 things that actually matter, 10 things you would die for, 10 things you cannot ignore. That is not loss. That is focus. That is power. You are no longer trying to be everything to everyone. You are no longer performing for an audience that doesn't even know your name. You are down to the core, and if you will stop mourning what you've lost and start leveraging what remains, you will discover that the concentrated essence of who you are now is more potent than the scattered energy of who you were 30 years ago. But here is the tension you have to hold. You are both weary and empowered. You are both at the end of one season and at the beginning of another. You do not have the strength you once had, but you have been given a different kind of strength, the strength that comes from surrender, from loss, from having nothing left to prove. This is not the strength of the young warrior who charges into battle with confidence and bravado. This is the strength of the seasoned soldier who has seen death, who has buried friends, who knows the cost of war and who fights anyway, not because he believes he is invincible, but because he knows what he is fighting for. That is the strength I am awakening in you. Not the naive strength of someone who has never been broken, but the resurrection strength of someone who has been shattered and rebuilt. And that strength carries an authority that cannot be manufactured, cannot be taught, cannot be faked. It is the authority of the scar, the authority of the survivor, the authority of the one who can say, I have walked through hell, and I am still here. And because I am still here, I have something to say. Now let me speak to the deepest wound you carry, the wound you don't talk about, the wound that shows up in the quiet moments when you're alone with your thoughts. It is the wound of regret. You carry the weight of what you did not do, the risks you did not take, the words you did not speak, the person you did not become, and somewhere in your heart, you have made an agreement with a lie. The lie says, it's too late, you missed your moment, the door is closed, your chance is gone, and I am here to tell you that lie is from the pit of hell. It is a demonic strategy designed to steal your final decades, to neutralize your influence, to ensure that you die with your song still inside you. Because the enemy knows something that you have forgotten. He knows that you are more dangerous now than you have ever been. He knows that if you wake up, if you shake off the sedation of regret and comfort and low expectations, if you rise in the fullness of who you are, you will do damage to his kingdom that cannot be undone. So he has worked tirelessly to convince you that your season is over. He has used your aching joints, your fading memory, your financial limitations, your lack of platform. He has used all of it to whisper the same message over and over. You're done. Sit down. Be quiet. Let the young people handle it. And you have believed him, not because the evidence was overwhelming, but because you were tired. And tired people are easy to deceive. But I am waking you up right now. I am shaking you out of that in fog. And I am telling you plainly, your pain was not punishment. It was preparation. Every betrayal you survived, every loss you endured, every failure that shattered you, it was not evidence of my absence. It was evidence of my shaping. I do not waste suffering. I redeem it. I transform it. The very things that nearly destroyed you have become the credentials for the work I am now entrusting to you. You can speak to the grieving because you have grieved. You can guide the lost because you have been lost. You can comfort the broken because you know what it means to be shattered and rebuilt. Do not despise your scars. They are not signs of weakness. They are proof that you survived what was meant to kill you. And now, in your 60s, you will discover that those scars carry authority. When you speak, people will listen, not because you have a platform, not because you have credentials, but because you have been where they are, and you made it through. Let me tell you what I see when I look at you. I do not see an old person clinging to relevance. I see a warrior who has been forged in the fire. I see a prophet who has been hidden in the wilderness. I see a vessel that has been emptied and broken and reassembled so many times that it is finally ready to hold what I have been saving for this hour. You are not a leftover. You are not a relic. You are the answer to a prayer that someone is praying right now. Someone who needs to meet a person who has survived what they are currently enduring. And you are that person, but you will never step into that role if you keep waiting for permission. This is critical. At 60, you are still waiting for someone to validate you, to ordain you, to tell you that you are qualified. You are waiting for a church to recognize you, for a leader to commission you, for a platform to invite you. And I am telling you now, stop waiting. I have already called you. The assignment is already yours. You do not need a title. You do not need a stage. You do not need approval from institutions that long ago stopped listening to my voice. What you need is obedience. The widow with 2 coins did not ask permission to give. She simply gave. The woman with the alabaster jar did not seek approval to anoint me. She simply broke the jar and poured. You have been holding back, afraid of judgment, afraid of rejection, afraid of being too old, too unqualified, too unknown. But the work I am giving you does not require fame. It requires faithfulness. It does not require a megaphone. It requires a willing heart. And here is what makes you so dangerous in this season. You are no longer controlled by ambition. You are no longer seduced by approval. You are no longer afraid of failure because you have already failed and discovered that I was faithful even in your failure. You have nothing left to lose, and that makes you free. Free to speak truth without worrying about your reputation. Free to take risks without calculating the cost to your career. Free to love without protecting your heart. Free to give without hoarding for tomorrow. Do you understand what I'm saying? The very things that make the world dismiss you are the things that make you lethal to the kingdom of darkness. You are not building a resume anymore. You are not climbing a ladder. You are not trying to make a name for yourself. You are simply walking in the authority of someone who has been with me long enough to know my voice. And that authority terrifies the enemy, because he cannot manipulate it. He cannot buy it. He cannot seduce it. It is the authority of the elder. The authority of the one who has outlasted the trends, outlasted the fads, outlasted the seductions that destroy the young. Let me show you what this looks like practically, because I don't want you to leave this conversation inspired but unchanged. I want you to leave with clarity about what I am asking you to do. First, you have to silence the voices that say you are finished. And I do not mean ignore them. I mean actively, aggressively reject them. Your first act of obedience is to wage war against the narrative of decline. Every time you hear a voice, internal or external, that tells you your season is over, you must name it as deception and cast it out. This is not positive thinking. This is spiritual warfare. You are not speaking affirmations into the void. You are declaring truth against lies. The enemy has been speaking a script over you for years, and that script has shaped your expectations, your decisions, your sense of possibility. And now you have to interrupt that script with a different one. Begin each morning with this declaration. I am not finished. My calling is not expired. The work I was created for is unfolding now. Speak it out loud. Speak it until you believe it. Speak it until the atmosphere around you shifts, because what you speak matters. You have been speaking agreement with limitation for so long that it has become your reality. You say things like, I'm too old for that. I'm too tired. I don't have what it takes anymore. And every time you say it, you are reinforcing the cage you're trapped in. But if you will begin to speak a different word, a word rooted in my truth rather than the world's assessment, you will start to feel something shift. It will be subtle at first, a small stirring, a quiet knowing, but over time, That shift will become undeniable. You will begin to see opportunities you were blind to. You will begin to feel strength you thought was gone. You will begin to believe that maybe, just maybe, there is more ahead than you imagined. Second, you need to ask me a question every single day. Do not ask, "What do I want to do with my remaining time?" That question keeps you trapped in preference and comfort. It keeps you focused on yourself, on your desires, on what would make you happy. Instead, ask me this: what are you assigning me to carry in this season? And then be silent. Wait. Listen. I will answer, not always with words, but with an inner knowing, a persistent pull towards something you have been avoiding or dismissing. It may be a person I am sending you to, someone younger who needs your story, your wisdom, your presence. It may be a truth I am asking you to speak, a truth that will make you unpopular, that will cost you relationships, but that must be said. It may be a posture of intercession. I am calling you into quiet, hidden, unseen by anyone but me, but absolutely essential to what I am doing in the earth. You will not hear it if you do not ask, and you will not obey it if you are not willing to be uncomfortable. Because here is what I need you to understand. The assignment I have for you in this season will not feel safe. It will not feel reasonable. It will not align with what your friends think you should be doing at your age. If I call you to speak, you will feel unqualified. If I call you to give, you will feel financially insecure. If I call you to go, you will feel too tired. But that discomfort is not a sign that you heard me wrong. It is a sign that you heard me right. Because I do not call you to what is easy. I call you to what is necessary. Third, identify one area where you have been playing it safe. At 60, you have likely built a life of stability. You have routines. You have rhythms. You have a predictable existence. And there is nothing wrong with stability until stability becomes a prison. Until stability becomes an excuse to avoid the uncomfortable obedience I am requiring. I am not calling you to recklessness. I am not asking you to blow up your life. But I am calling you to risk, to courage, to the willingness to disrupt your comfort for the sake of something greater. Where have you been playing it safe? Where have you been silent when I called you to speak? Where have you been comfortable when I called you to move? Where have you been hoarding when I called you to release? Identify one area, just one, and take a single step of obedience this week. Send the message you have been avoiding. Make the phone call you have been postponing. Offer the apology you have been withholding. Speak the truth you have been suppressing. Begin the project you have been delaying. You do not need to see the whole path. You just need to take the first step. And when you take that step, I will meet you there. I will give you the next step, and then the next. But you have to move. Fourth, find one person younger than you to pour into. You carry something the next generation desperately needs, but you will not transfer it through advice. You will not transfer it through lectures or sermons or social media posts. You transfer it through presence, through proximity, through the slow, patient work of walking alongside someone and letting them see how you live. Find one person, a son, a daughter, a spiritual child, a young person in your community who is struggling, searching, lost, and commit to walking with them, not as a project, not as a ministry, but as a relationship. Share your story. Share your scars. Share what you have learned about faithfulness in the dark. Do not wait for them to ask. Do not wait for them to come to you. Offer yourself. Many will reject you. Many will be too distracted, too busy, too convinced that they don't need what you have. But one will receive you. One will see the gold you carry, and that one will carry what you give them into places you will never see. They will carry it into the next generation, and the generation after that, and 50 years from now, when you are long gone, your influence will still be rippling out through the lives you touched. Fifth, release what you have been holding on to for later. You have been saving something, a gift, a resource, a word, a blessing, an inheritance, waiting for the right time, waiting for the perfect moment, waiting until you feel more secure, more prepared, more certain. But I am telling you now, this is the right time. The oil was meant to be poured now, not preserved until you are gone. The treasure was meant to be distributed now, not locked away until after your death. Stop hoarding what I gave you to give away. Break the jar. Pour out what remains. Use the money you have been saving. Give the blessing you have been withholding. Speak the word you have been holding in reserve. Write the letter. Make the call. Transfer the property. Fund the dream. Release the inheritance while you are still alive to see what it produces. Because when you release what you have been hoarding, something miraculous happens. It multiplies. It grows. It produces fruit in ways you could never have engineered or controlled. But you have to let go. You have to trust that what you give away will be more powerful than what you keep. Now let me speak to the fear that is underneath all of this. The fear that if you step out, if you risk, if you obey, you will fail. You will be rejected. You will look foolish. You will waste what little time you have left on something that doesn't work. And I want to tell you something that may surprise you. You probably will fail. Not at everything, but at some things. You will take risks that do not pan out. You will invest in people who will disappoint you. You will step out in faith and encounter resistance, rejection, misunderstanding. And that is okay, because I am not asking you to succeed by the world's standards. I am asking you to obey. Do you know what your generation has that the younger generation lacks? You have already survived failure. You have already faced rejection. You have already walked through seasons of crushing disappointment, and you are still here. Failure did not kill you. Rejection did not destroy you. Disappointment did not disqualify you. So why are you still afraid of it? The worst has already happened. You have already been broken, and you discovered that I was faithful even in your breaking. So what is left to fear? The truth is, your final decades are your most dangerous. Not to you, to the systems that profit from your silence, to the powers that prefer elders to be passive and compliant, to the principalities that fear the awakening of a generation that has nothing left to lose. You are dangerous because you cannot be bought. You cannot be seduced. You cannot be manipulated by the promise of success or the threat of failure. You have already been through both, and you are still standing. That makes you a threat, and if you will step into this final season with clarity and courage, you will accomplish more in your remaining years than you did in all the years that came before. Not because you will work harder, not because you will have more energy, but because you will finally be working on what actually matters. You will finally be giving yourself to the things that carry eternal weight, and that focus, that concentration of purpose, will produce fruit that outlasts you. I want to tell you what I see when I look at the road ahead for you. I see a man or a woman who stops apologizing for taking up space, who stops shrinking to make others comfortable, who stops playing small because the world told them their season was over. I see someone who wakes up every morning with a sense of assignment, a clarity of purpose, a holy urgency that does not come from fear but from love. I see someone who spends their final years not in comfort, but in contribution, not in safety, but in service, not in retreat, but in readiness. I see you speaking truth to people who have never heard it. I see you walking into rooms where your presence shifts the atmosphere. I see you investing in the lives of young people who will carry your legacy long after you are gone. I see you giving away everything you have been holding on to, not recklessly, but generously, trusting that I will provide what you need when you need it. I see you praying prayers that shape nations. I see you interceding for people you will never meet. I see you living in a way that makes others wonder what you know that they do not. And I see you reaching the end of your days not with regret, but with peace, not with the ache of unfulfilled longing, but with the deep satisfaction of someone who gave everything, who held nothing back, who ran the race all the way to the finish line, who did not quit when it got hard, who did not retreat when it got uncomfortable, who did not play it safe when I called them to risk. I see you crossing the threshold into eternity and hearing the words that every human soul longs to hear. Well done, good and faithful servant. You were faithful with what I gave you. Now enter into the joy of your master. That is what I see. But the question is, do you see it? Can you see past the lies of limitation and the fog of exhaustion and the weight of regret? Can you see that you are not finished? That your calling is not expired? That the work I created you for is unfolding right now, in this moment, in this season? Because if you can see it, if you can catch even a glimpse of what I am inviting you into, it will change everything. You will stop wasting your energy on things that do not matter. You will stop giving your time to people who drain you. You will stop participating in conversations that pull you down. You will stop agreeing with narratives that diminish you, and you will start aligning your life with what I am actually saying. You will start saying yes to the assignments I am giving you, even when they scare you. You will start speaking the truth I am asking you to speak, even when it costs you. You will start moving toward the people and places I am sending you to, even when it feels inconvenient. And as you do, you will feel something you have not felt in years. You will feel alive. Not the manic, adrenaline-fueled aliveness of youth, but the deep, settled, grounded aliveness of someone who knows their purpose and is walking in it. The aliveness of someone who is no longer performing for an audience, but living in obedience to the only voice that matters. The aliveness of someone who has stopped trying to extend their life and started trying to spend it well, because that is what this season is about. It is not about adding more years. It is about making the years you have left count. It is about refusing to waste another day on autopilot. It is about waking up and realizing that you are still here for a reason, that your breath is still in your lungs because there is still work to be done, that your heart is still beating because there are still people who need what you carry, that your story is not over because the final chapters have not yet been written, and those final chapters, the ones you will write in clarity, in courage, in the authority that only comes from having survived, will be the ones that matter most, not because they are longer, not because they are flashier, but because they are truer, because they are distilled, because they are the essence of everything you have learned, everything you have suffered, everything you have overcome, concentrated into a handful of years that will leave a mark on eternity. So I am asking you to make a choice, right now, in this moment. Are you going to agree with the lie that your season is over? Or are you going to rise up and walk into the assignment I am giving you? Are you going to spend your final decades in the safety of comfort? Or are you going to spend them in the danger of obedience? Are you going to play it safe? Or are you going to risk everything for the sake of what I am calling you to? Because I am not asking you to be young again. I am not asking you to have the energy you had at 30. I am not asking you to pretend that the years have not taken a toll. I am asking you to be fully alive right now, at 60, with everything you carry, with your scars, with your limp, with your grey hair, and your aching joints, and your limited resources. I am asking you to bring all of that, the weakness, the weariness, the wounds, and to let me use it, to let me turn it into something powerful, to let me transform it into a testimony that will outlast you, because that is what I do. I take what the world calls waste, and I call it wealth. I take what the enemy meant for destruction, and I use it for redemption. I take the broken pieces of your life, and I build something beautiful. But you have to give them to me. You have to stop hiding them. You have to stop being ashamed of them. You have to stop pretending that you have it all together. And you have to start offering me the truth of who you are, the tired, scarred, weary, beautiful truth, and trusting that I can do something with it. That is the invitation. Not to be perfect, not to be impressive, not to have all the answers, but to be available, to be willing, to be obedient, to say yes when I call, to move when I prompt, to speak when I whisper, to give when I ask, to risk when I require, and to trust that I will be faithful to complete the work I have started in you. You came to this video wondering if it was too late. You came carrying the weight of regret, the exhaustion of decades, the quiet ache of unlived purpose. And I have spoken to you today, not to comfort that ache, but to awaken what lies beneath it, because beneath the ache is a fire that has never gone out. Beneath the exhaustion is a strength that has only deepened with time. Beneath the regret is a calling that is still active, still alive, still waiting for you to say yes. You are not finished. You are not irrelevant. You are not too old, too tired, or too broken. You are 60 years into a story that is still being written, and the chapters that remain, the ones you will write in clarity, in courage, in the authority that only comes from having survived, will be the ones that matter most. Not because they are perfect, but because they are real. Not because they are easy, but because they are true. Not because they make you famous, but because they make you faithful. Here is the truth I am sealing over you today. You are not fading, you are finally ready. You are not declining, you are being distilled. You are not retiring, you are being reassigned. The world may dismiss you, but I do not. The culture may overlook you, but I see you. The systems may marginalize you, but I am calling you. And what I am calling you to will require everything you have learned, everything you have suffered, everything you have survived. It will require your scars, your stories, your hard-won wisdom. It will require your willingness to be uncomfortable, to be misunderstood, to be rejected by those who do not understand what you are doing. But it will also produce fruit that you cannot yet imagine, fruit that will feed people you will never meet, fruit that will last long after you are gone. I am not asking you to be young again. I am asking you to be fully alive right now, at 60, with everything you carry, because your time is not over. It has only just begun. The question is whether you will listen, whether you will rise, whether you will spend your final decades in the safety of comfort or in the danger of obedience. I am not asking you to have all the answers. I am asking you to take the first step. I am not asking you to see the whole path. I am asking you to trust me for the next 5 feet. I am not asking you to be fearless. I am asking you to be faithful, to move even when you are afraid, to speak even when your voice shakes, to give even when your resources are limited, to love even when your heart is guarded, to risk even when failure is possible, because that is what faith looks like at 60. It is not the naive confidence of youth. It is the scarred, limping, resurrection faith of someone who has been broken and rebuilt, someone who knows the cost, someone who has counted the cost and decided it is worth it, someone who would rather die obedient than live safe, someone who would rather spend their final years in pursuit of something eternal than in the comfort of something temporary. And if you will choose that path, if you will say yes to what I am asking, you will discover something that will take your breath away. You will discover that the weariness you have been carrying is not the weakness you thought it was. It is the weight of glory, the weight of calling, the weight of assignment. And when you finally align yourself with it, when you stop resisting it and start carrying it intentionally, it will not crush you. It will empower you. It will become the very thing that gives your life meaning, direction, purpose. So here is what I am asking you to do. If this word has pierced you, if something inside you has awakened, do not let it fade. Do not close this video and go back to the way things were. Mark this moment. Let it be the line you cross from passivity into purpose. Let it be the day you stopped agreeing with the lie that your season is over and started walking into the truth of what I am calling you to. And if you feel led, I want you to do something. I want you to leave a comment below, not with empty agreement, not with a generic amen, but with the one thing you are committing to do differently because of what you heard today. What is the step you are going to take? What is the person you are going to reach out to? What is the truth you are going to speak? What is the risk you are going to take? Let your words be a witness. Let them be a declaration. Let them be the first step of a journey that will not